Of course, the social and cultural shocks that are taking place in the United States and the Western Europe are none of our business. We are keeping out of this. Some people in the West believe that an aggressive elimination of entire pages from their own history reverse discrimination against the majority of the interests of a minority and the demand to give up the traditional notions of mother, father, family, and even gender. They believe that all of these are the mileposts on the path towards social renewal. The advocates of so-called social progress believe they are introducing humanity to some kind of a new and better consciousness.
Glenn, straight to the point. Is this new and better consciousness?
Oh, how do you answer that one? I don't know. It smells like the turkey dinner is done here in the West. It's ridiculous. We have to come back to the old way. There's so much to do, but another year of Biden and his group, and then I think we could have a Trump-DeSantis card together. That would be something, wouldn't it, brother?
It's way better choice than in previous years, but I don't really know anymore. Brothers and sisters, welcome to the show. Welcome to Alex Saz show here at the Glen Zone with Glenn Herring and Alex Saz. And I know we're kind of officially, non-officially Russian bots here. And starting the show with Putin's speech, it says a lot about what the show is all about. But he was speaking the foundation of the society which is being destroyed here in the West. And why me as the person with the Russian background who grew up in the Soviet Union, this is much important because I grew up in Soviet Union and I understood the meaning of destruction of the family and the meaning destruction of the values and what it means to control people's perceptions, what it means to enslave people, what it means to submit to authority other than God. God is removed from the society specifically for that, so you obey authority of the man, like the government, right? So, but I feel like, Glenn, it's so far gone. And, you know, the Yuri Bezmenov, you know, the guy that we played on the last show, he broke it down in 4 stages, but he also said, it doesn't matter. Even if I show it to you, people will still not react to this because they're so far gone. Are we so far gone or there's hope?
No, actually, I believe the left's playing card has been overplayed. And it's been engineered, it's been embellished to be much larger than the real thing, like the let's say the CV-19, the bad flu. But it wouldn't take long when they start having a rough time in life before everything starts reversing and people get back to nature and what really matters most to humanity.
If you ever read the Bible, brothers and sisters, and if you're watching the show, you probably did. And if you didn't, they had prophets like Prophet Isaiah who was walking around screaming and saying, people wake up, Babylon is coming, and the end is near, and you all guys going to suffer, and you're going to pay whatever you're going to pay. Most of you are going to die. Some of your relatives going to die. Some of you are going to get enslaved. Some of you are going to be taken back to the Babylon. Some of you are going to be slaves here. And there are modern prophets now walking among us, and some of them are regular people. Some of them are, some of them people in positions of power, like Tucker, and I don't know if I can consider Musk as part of those people. I'm on the fence with that. But we have this lady at the school board meeting. She's a teacher, and she's screaming. She's screaming. She's sick of it. Let's listen to her for a minute.
I am a retired educator, unlike you. I'm appalled to see this barrier, because it shows you don't respect yourself and you undermine the parents and their civility. You can fool some of the people all of the time, all of the people some of the time, but you cannot fool all of the people all of the time. That's from
She has an accent. This is the people that come here and they're really contributing to America.
You board members labeled Glendale parents as Nazis. Let me teach you a little bit of history if you forgot. During Second World War, Nazi Germany encouraged and trained their young children to spy on their parents and turn them in. Stalin did the same. Mao did the same.
Yeah, communists did the same thing. Actually, the first thing that I learned in grade school, there's a character. We had characters, literal characters that they created, like Pavlik Morozov, who actually snitched on his dad because he wasn't following the party line, and that was glamorized. That was put into the position. This kid was a hero. The party came first,
thus destroying family unity and trust. So far, I haven't seen any parent using this strategy, but I see you with your wokeism and socialism agenda implementing it. There is no way a young boy or a girl voluntarily will go to a school counselor's office to say that he or she wants a gender change, unless in the classroom, in special school clubs, in secret, without parents' knowledge, they are groomed and brainwashed to do so. You are hostile toward nuclear family and want to abolish it by turning the children against their parents. Now, who is the Nazi? The parents who love, care, support their children.
Glenn, that's what Putin is saying.
Obviously, this woman is an educator, and she's talking down to the indoctrinators. You see the difference?
She's calling them out, right? She's calling them out. And this is sort of like on this show, that's what we're doing too. We're calling things for what they are. Brothers and sisters, do not send your children to the higher learning institutions or even high school that you send to if you're not sure where they're going, who are the teachers, what's the curriculum. And unfortunately, I know a lot of you, both of you, your mom and the parents, both parents, the father and the mother, now both have to work because back in the day, Glenn, remember back in the day, I don't know if you remember those times, you're kind of old, but only one parent really had to work and they were able to pay a mortgage, have a car, and provide for the whole family.
Yeah, back then the cost of living was a lot lower, and the average salary was a lot higher to cover the cost of living. So it benefited the family environment. But through fractional reserve banking and the central bank policies, that was slowly but surely taken away. At the same time, it empowered the women to want to go out and work for themselves, to take care of themselves and be independent. But what that also did was, if you had more people entering into the workforce than what was necessary, it kept the biggest expense for a corporation down, which is the salaries, because you had more people applying for the same jobs. So the cost of living keeps going up, and your salary is not keeping up. So that's why it's two people, and even two people today are having a hard time. They have to incur more and more debt just to try and maintain any resemblance to the same standard of living that they had before. And is it worth it, really? I mean, you become a debt slave. This is modern day slavery, big guy.
It's worth to who? The side hustle that you're talking about. You have two jobs in the household. Now you have to have a side hustle. But it's worth it. It's worth it to the globalists because what happens is the child is taken away from the house. The child is taken away from the family where he can no longer be influenced with those good Christian traditional values or whatever other, I'm not talking about religion specifically.
Good moral values.
Good moral values, yes. And this is taken away from the family. So now the children's indoctrinated and brainwashed into the society. And you can see it. If you go to college campuses, everybody's transgender, gender fluid, or whatever those names are. But we're living in a third world. Western society is no longer a first world. And just look at the video of like this. You don't have to just Google all kinds of LA videos or San Francisco. I don't know.
But it looks a lot like Montreal in many places too.
Look at that. That's terrible. This is terrible. This is And this is not just one street. Like Los Angeles, it's like this everywhere. Like even the beach, and it all smells like a public bathroom. It's horrific. It's really terrible. It's really terrible. You tell me this is first world country that has this?
But they have the money to send all around the world to create conflict, but they have no money to fix and resolve the problems within their own nation.
Well, it's like my friend Nick says, that's the harm reduction theory. And then you like he's speaking of indoctrination. Look at.
I got a 0 on a project proposal in my class because I used the term biological women, which is apparently not allowed anymore. She even said it was a good project proposal, but I got a 0 because I used this term and it's exclusionary and not allowed anymore, so. And I 100% know that this is like the most biased grade ever because my project is about transgenders competing in biological women's sports. How am I supposed to do my final project if I can't use the word biological women? But that's what my project is about.
So you basically cornered and like to follow the party line. That is what towing the party line means, really.
Yeah, I would say just use the word real woman. We'll see what happens there, throw it at a shot.
But it's unfair to kids. Not everybody was raised or have an understanding that you have a voice, have an understanding that you could actually step up to those people and confront them and say, like, what are you doing? This is not my ideology. Stop pushing your ideology on me. Not everybody can do it. And especially, if the kid comes from the household where two parents had to work and spend very little time. Oh, single parent home, Glenn. You said it right the other day. Yeah. The mother works all day and then she has to come home and she has to clean the house. She has to take care of everything else. And then somehow she has to take care of her personal life. You think she spends any time on her children?
Or the time that they do spend together, like mom, I understand mommy is tired. She's at her wit's end. And then when the children, become a little bit restless and they have higher energy levels, obviously, and mom's energy levels on the floor. So therefore, they just give the children things to entertain themselves with. And that adds to the problem. You're only being entertained in private life. And then when you go to the school, the public life, you're being indoctrinated. So it's like a double whammy. And no wonder they're turning out today with more kids with mental issues and wanting to commit suicide and wanting to change genders and just completely misguided, non-structured, non-disciplined. And what is going to happen when these children grow up to be adults?
And then you remember how on the last episode we had this Berkeley professor and she was like, oh, you inciting violence towards transgender people because a lot of them commit suicide. Do they commit suicide because you question their identity, or is it because they're already on the spectrum to begin with?
Yeah, they already had issues. That's why they became transgender, okay? And they thought that would fix their issues, but no, that's just a symptom of the issue. So instead of treating the symptoms, why don't we get and treat to the cause, the right cause?
Well, that seems actually the structure of a society. Let's address the symptom. Let's put a Band-Aid, and it goes for all levels: infrastructure, politics, health, social issues. And again, we here at the Alex Saz Show take a stand, and we believe it's by design. Like the Yuri Bezmenov said, 4 stages of destroying the society from within, by spreading wokeism specifically. Let's listen to our friends at Newsmax.
Possible as parents or grandparents to explain to our children what exactly is going on in this world and why in a way that makes any reasonable sense, because these are not reasonable times and none of it makes sense for a reason. If we can agree that in order for dark people, evil people, to corrupt our basic American values with policies and agendas that are so anti-American because they're
Glenn, I always bring this up. Who are the dark people? Who are the evil people? Are they even people?
No, they're behind the scenes, and they use the puppets that we apparently vote for to push their agendas onto the nations that were supposedly have been democratically elected. So that's all a fake, phony, and false facade. And you see it every day. It's becoming more and more clear to the person who doesn't walk around with their eyes wide shut.
So Trudeau is a Chicken Little.
He's a little chicken.
He's a little chicken, but yeah, Trudeau is definitely a chicken little, meaning like he's being manipulated by Foxy Loxy, right? That's the reference from the few episodes ago from we covered the Chicken Little episode, Walt Disney cartoon from 1943. It's entertaining to see how back in the day in predictive programming or blueprint for what's going on now, nothing new. The history repeats itself. Just look at it. It's a really good episode. But the point is, let's continue watching this show.
To destroy America. We can at least start this conversation with one foot in reality. The awakening for me began during Ketanji Brown Jackson's Supreme Court confirmation hearings. A woman, no question intelligent, couldn't define that word woman. She was confirmed to the highest court in the land. I mean, think about that. It's embarrassing, but it set the precedent. And then we were told, since no one really knows what a woman is, men can be women if they just say so. And you just better shut up about it. Put on a dress, paint your nails, act ridiculous, all the while insulting women. And boom, we got Dylan Mulvaney. Granted a sit-down interview with the President of the United States, or whomever that person is, riding the ESG tide of ridiculosity. Woke company.
All right, yeah, it's enough. I mean, brothers and sisters, you get an idea. But here, I'll show you something crazy, Glenn. Like, okay, you may puke. Yeah.
But
there's children on the sideline, if you notice. There's children on the sideline.
That's some nasty stuff going on. I always said this, like many years ago, talking about gay parades. They wanted to push their agenda of acceptability. Yeah, but if you dress a man like a pink flamingo and you're doing stupid stuff like this, I don't know, you're going to get a rejection. I mean, what you want people is just to accept, let's say, the homosexual crowd, whatever. But it's going to be very, very hard to get people to embrace it, obviously.
You can also see that now. Okay, before it was like, okay, if you don't feel like a man, maybe you're a gay man or lesbian or whatever. But now they're pushing this thing. You can be whatever you want to be. So if today you feel like a woman, gender fluid, you feel like a woman. Tomorrow you want to be a man, be a man. After that, they, them, penguin, like you said, pink flamingo. So the identity changes depending on your mood, right? Depending on your mental condition at the moment.
You're on the spot, big guy. What's your pronouns today? Oh, no, you got to answer quicker than that. Let's go.
No, because
should come right away.
8-year-old Chinese girl, what would it be?
You got me. What the hell?
Well, she got more viewers than us, so I got to identify as her. Maybe it will help our YouTube algorithm. So, yeah, I like the big and strong. I like the big and strong.
Big and strong, you can't go wrong.
No, I like that, yeah. Well, him, his... I don't know, Glenn. Why are we even talking about pronouns? Why is it even a subject?
I don't know. Maybe you're going to have to carry one of these things around in case somebody gives you a questions you right away. What are your pronouns today? Because that's what everybody seems to be questioning it. What's a pronoun? What are you talking about? What do you associate yourself as today? What do you think you are? And that could change to tomorrow. And you want everybody else to follow you through that doom loop that you're going through? No, you can go through that yourself. Good luck.
The point is, how we talk here, turn to the higher power, turn to the higher authority than man, God specifically. And where do you go? Like, especially if you're like, okay, if you feel the need and you feel where do you go? If you don't have the background, you would go to church, right? It's like, well, go to the church. Which church? Well, it doesn't matter. Go to any church. Well, I think it does matter. I think it does matter. I'm biased in that way because I do go to church on Sundays. But if you are turning, like sometimes that's also a trap, Glenn. Like sometimes you can walk into this. Like,
please join me in a prayer for this Transgender Day of Remembrance.
Sure.
God, we lift up before you the lives of those who have been lost because of their gender identity, those who have been killed because they are transgender or gender nonconforming, and those who have taken their own lives because they have been so surrounded by hatred.
Is it hatred of what? That's a good point, Glenn. Do you actually, this is an honest question. Do you hate anyone?
No.
Do you hate transgender?
We say it all the time. all onto you. You do what you believe is right, but don't push it on everybody else. You have a right to live your life the way you want to. That's the freedom of the individual. If you choose that, well, the results of the choices will dictate how you feel in your life. If you're not feeling very good about your life and you're not comfortable, then maybe it's time for some different choices. But you shouldn't push that on other people to want to follow. Like I just said, no, you're on your own. That's a self-responsibility, by the way.
Well, the hatred she's talking about, this is from the religious perspective or from the God's perspective. God loves all of us equally. We are all brothers and sisters for a reason. Like if you have children, if you have more than one, okay, maybe you have preference hanging out with one child more than the other for whatever reason. But do you love one child more than the other? If you're a normal person, whatever normal means, most likely not. And God is a perfect being who loves everyone equally. So the hatred that she's talking about is that you're experiencing hatred for yourself because you don't love yourself, but you probably haven't experienced that love from your parents or from anyone because your parents had to work or you had some kind of abusive relationship from the childhood. I'm sorry about that. But there's a way for you to love and respect yourself now. It's no excuse. So the hatred that you feel is not coming from others. It's the hatred that you feel for yourself, from yourself. Let's hear her prayer. Prayer is powerful, but this is terrible negative affirmation. I don't know what she's talking about.
We confess our complicity in systems that perpetuate gender norms that make hatred of these communities not only possible.
Hey, that's so counterintuitive, Glenn. That's so counterintuitive. Like in religion, they teach you to accept yourself as the perfect creation of God, not to like, oh, I don't feel perfect. I gotta become something else. That's not what intended. So like whatever religion, whatever that person is, I don't know. She's part of the distraction. This is not from God.
Yeah, just it's like a word salad. They're very, very good at putting together an agenda with words. They sound quite believable, actually. But when you discern through the words and you see what it's really about, and you say, close, but no cigar for you.
I don't even want to listen to the rest. Did you hear about this Dodgers fiasco? They're trying to do this kind of
Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah, they were trying to do the what would they call it?
Again, in the probably the most woke state in all of the United States of America.
Probably can't argue that or New York. Yeah, probably California. So they were trying to do the what do they call what do they call them now? The transgender people that read to children.
Nutcases? No? Oh, not that one. Okay, no.
What's the word I'm looking for?
The word of the day.
Yeah, what's the word of the day?
Snapper heads. No? Okay. No, not that one. Okay.
Okay, let's just watch the video really quick.
Hey everybody, it's Bishop Barron. I'm sure by now you've all heard about this controversy involving the LA Dodgers and the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. You know, the Dodgers invited this group, which I think can only be described as an anti-Catholic hate group, invited them to be honored at the Dodger Stadium. Then when there was a howl of protest from Catholics and others, they disinvited them, good move, but then they re-invited them. And the re-invitation was accompanied by a kind of pathetic apology where they were praised for all the great work that they do. Now look, I'm not going to go into all the details. Look them up on YouTube or something. You'd find what they do. I'll give you one example. I think it was on Easter Sunday, there was a display where they have Jesus on the cross, so the most sacred moment in history for Catholics. And a drag queen comes in and kind of pulls Jesus off the cross, then does a sort of pole dance on the cross.
I've seen that video.
It's hard to imagine anything more offensive than that. Suppose this group had dressed up in a kind of simulacrum of a rabbi and had done something deeply disrespectful to the Torah, or take it a step further, had dressed up in a mockery of a Muslim cleric or imam.
Well, I'm going to take an issue with them. Take a step further. So it's less scary to make fun of the Jew than of a Muslim. That's what he was saying, basically.
And then it desecrated the Quran. What would the reaction be? Those questions answer themselves, but somehow attacking Catholics in this most disgraceful way is okay. Not only okay.
Well, I can answer that. I know why it's okay, because Christianity is predominant religion of the West, isn't it?
Well, I know what Christianity is, but I have a question for you, big guy. Are all Catholics Roman Catholics?
Well, no. There's Jesuits. There's Franciscan brothers. There's I went to
Okay.
Catholic school. I should know all of this.
So, but overwhelmingly, most Catholics are Roman Catholics.
I can't call that, but I'll look it up. Yes, probably. Okay, let's go with that.
Especially since now with the Roman Catholic Church constantly being bombarded with the realities that people who were preaching the book of God turned out not to be following what they were preaching. And you have so many cases of child abuse and pedophilia within the Roman Catholic Church. How in the modern day this still, is people don't want to know the truth and don't want to hear about it because they're used to going to church every Sunday to support an organization that, if you look a little bit deeper, you would be surprised that you're actually still supporting something like that.
I think I have an answer for that. I mean, I'd like to separate God from organization, right? And I think in Catholic Church, in my experience, most people are conditioned into following the church as organization versus developing relationship with God. That was my personal experience. I'm not saying Catholics are bad people. It's not what I'm saying. But in terms of my own Catholic experience, by the way, my Catholic experience was probably one of the best life experiences I ever had. And I went to Catholic school. I actually lived in the rectory for almost 6 months. I never got I was the worst person in that place by far, actually. But I went to Jesuit college for 5 years, and my Catholic experience was amazing. And now I go to church. I'm a Latter-day Saint, and I know the difference between developing direct relationship with God versus having a traditional approach to life through religion, through religious organization. What I believe is happening here, the devil, the enemy, or whatever other dark forces to be, which we always talk about here, are exploiting things like this, because now, again, people are not focusing on higher self. People are not focusing on higher power or having this relationship with higher power and understanding what's it about. Now it's an existential question. Why we're here, right? What's the purpose of this whole life experience? Now, that's a whole different show. But the things that we see, Glenn, here with the demise of identity, us as, spirit child of God's here, having some kind of spiritual experience on the human physical body here on earth, with each other, by the way. And this interaction that we're having is so intricate in terms of understanding what we are as individuals about and what we are as collective are about. And that's where the enemy throws all those things to divide us and separate us, not only, by gender, by race, by religion, ethnicity, and all this other stuff. Tower of Babel all over. Now, I would tell you it's all done for a reason, the same way Eve ate the fruit from the tree. And when she did, she was experienced, the tree of knowledge, she was able to see the difference between good and evil. There's no other way. God knew she's going to do it, and God knew that Adam will follow her, because he had to follow Eve and taste the fruit, because she was getting kicked out of Garden of Eden. And the reason why they were here is to procreate, right? And this which brings me to your answer. The thing with transgenderism and homosexuality and all this other stuff, you can choose whatever you want to be, but why is it propagated? Why is it so loud right now in our society? Is to undermine that is procreation. The birth rates are down. One of the reasons for procreation is for the spirits, for the spirit childs of God to come in here, and the way they can come in is through birth. Now, that's a religious conversation. We can get into it on some other day, and we will. I promise we will. We'll have a show recording next week specifically regarding that. But That's my existential philosophy. But I also understand no matter where you're coming from, I know all of you wish each other well, kindness, peace, and love, regardless of your background, regardless of what your neighbor, what your friends, what your enemies are going through. Love that enemy, brother and sister, for a reason, because you want to be treated that way. Whenever you feel lost, confused, or down on your luck, you want somebody still in your corner. I'm in your corner no matter where you are in life right now. I'm sending you love, kindness, and peace. With all the gratitude, today is your day. Today something happy going to happen to you. Something great. You're on your way to get better. Glenn, we're going to close the show. Any last minute advice?
No, Father Alex, that was, you gave a little sermon there. So one thing I'd like to add on is that a lot of people, they take God out of the equation and they want to change it with science, which is a division actually today of government, which seems to be looking like it. And, you know, we've heard it from the government and the media, you have to trust the science, yet the science changes all the time. You always have to question science. So that should revert back to the old way where, no, there is a higher entity, some type of being that created all this, a spiritual being or the infinite field of potentiality. You could call it God, you could call it whatever you want to make you feel comfortable. But we're not at the top of the food chain. Let's face it.
But we are co-creators of our destiny. So create it with good thoughts, good intentions, good actions, consistently through discipline. And how you do discipline yourself? Go to the gym, eat better, think better, feel better, sleep better, treat others better. Don't get upset. Don't get offended. We'll love you, brothers and sisters. We'll see you on the next one.